This is ION Hong Kong with Key.
And this is Harminder, and we'll be discussing the top news for the week involving Hong Kong and China. And welcome back to the second half. As promised, we have Alan Leong from the Civic Party, leader of the Civic Party, and he's a legislator of the Kowloon East Geographical Constituency. Mr. Leong, thank
Hello,
you for being
everyone.
here.
Hi.
Hello.
All right, might as well just fire this off right now. We have Beijing and Siwa Leong continually telling us that the political reform package must pass under the decision of the MPCSC and the Basic Law. But when I read the Basic Law, specifically Annex 1, there is nothing there that says that the the National People's Congress Standing Committee is the one that will dictate to us how we select our leader. From how I read it is we choose, as in the legislature, we give it to Siwa Leong, the chief executive, who hands it off to the MPC for a yes or no. They have the ultimate, yes or no power anyways, but they're already dictating to us how the structure should be. So aren't they actually the ones in breach of the Basic Law?
I think you hit the nail on its head. If you go back and look up on the 2007 NPC Standing Committee resolution, it, of course, dictated a 5-step process,
Right.
which I think is already a departure from the original arrangement as enshrined in Annex 1. Originally, we expected only a 3-step process,
Right.
but they already added 2 extra steps on it. But even we are not arguing with that. And if we stick to the 2007 resolution, step 2 should only be a yay or nay on step 1,
Right.
meaning the chief executive's report to
Right.
the NPC Standing Committee. We never envisaged, and it should not have happened, that they actually dictated, as you described it,
Right.
about the details of how the electoral model ought to be. So that, I would argue, and I certainly think you have a point there, that they actually, the NPC Standing Committee actually behaved unconstitutionally, even per their own 2007 resolution.
And how come nobody brings this up? I was just casually reading the Basic Law just to refresh in my memory on who makes the decision based on the Basic Law, and reading Annex 1, I'm like, wait a minute, they don't have any way of dictating to us.
In fact, there were at least 2 persons who raised this point. One is a scholar, a mainland legal scholar, who wrote, I think, in a local newspaper and brought this up. Another person is our beloved Dream Bear, and he also wrote about this.
Yes.
Right? And I think they saw the point as much as we did. And I certainly think there is force in this point.
Have you guys think of using the legal way to solve it, like a judicial review, or is...
Well, I don't think we can expect the Special Administrative Regions courts to hand down any judgment to say the NPC Standing Committee is unconstitutional in its behavior per the 31st August resolution. So I think it is really a case for the NPC Standing Committee to correct itself, and it should really do so.
And how will it do that? Is it through this report that they're going to give on the feelings of Hong Kong?
Well, you asked me. Well, if I think there's a will, there must be a way. And of course, the People's Republic of China is a power system that is unitary, and it all originates from the National People's Congress. It is by definition omnipotent. It can do anything.
You can do no wrong.
Anything goes,
Yeah.
right? So, it really is a matter of whether there is a political will to do so. And let us hope that there will be, if there isn't one yet. It is important to address the ardent desire and clear expression of wish by Hong Kong people in the umbrella movement, and particularly during the 79 days of occupation, that we really want no more than just a real choice.
Right.
Right? We want a real choice so that we have a say in who is going to govern us in the position of the chief executive. We just don't want this incestuous relationship between the Communist Party and the vested interests in Hong Kong to continue to dominate the power system. Why were there so many young people, our next two generations, I would describe them as, would give up their very comfortable beds at home and lived out on the streets for almost 80 days because they do not see hope in a continuation of this incestuous relationship. You see, it is no good for you to build cheap flats for them to buy. This is not what they are after. All right. Of course, if they could have been able to afford a flat, it is all the better. But they do not want that to come as a welfare item, as some bread crumbs fallen from the table of the vested interest and the Communist Party. You see, so I really hope that the Communist Party would come round to realizing what has been the root cause of the deep-rooted conflict and why there had been this umbrella movement.
Now, since the end of the umbrella movement, it seems that Beijing is now taking more of a tougher line on Hong Kong, especially on political issues. We've got a lot of mainland, quote-unquote officials like Chen Jiao-er, who's coming out, scolding Hong Kong for not having an Article 23 legislation. We have Xi Jinping going to Macau and saying, Macau is the right way to do one country, two systems, but then you look at its political system, there's a reason it's so in tune with the one country more than its two systems, because the whole thing is stacked against any real choice. So is this the new reality for Hong Kong, that we have to expect continuous scolding and skewing of the facts and changing of it? Now we're being always taught that history is not what it seemed, that during World War II the British ran when the Japanese invaded instead of fought valiantly for 19 days before they were thrown into prison camps. I mean, that never happened apparently. They just ran. I mean, now it's just gotten farcical, in my opinion, the way they're trying to throw their propaganda. Is it time for the pan-democrats plus anybody who is part of the umbrella movement to, call them out for all of their nonsense that they're spilling into Hong Kong now?
Now, first of all, if you would allow me to correct you,
Okay.
Harry, I don't think the umbrella movement has ended.
Well, the occupation. Let me
The
correct that.
occupation,
The occupation.
as the first wave of the umbrella movement, has ended. But if you go back and check on the world's history, and you will find that, for example, Martin Luther King, when he started the movement to give the black equal rights in America. Even the blacks, after the first wave of the movement had started, complained to Martin Luther King that he should not have rocked the boat because the black in America at that time, as they put it, had a reasonably decent living.
Right.
So why rock the boat?
Right.
Likewise, if you go and check on the history of India, after the Salt March, Gandhi also received a lot of negative complaints from the Indian people.
Yes.
So I think the first wave of the umbrella movement may have ended in a way that many of our student leaders would not have wanted it to. But we have entered into maybe a period of consolidation, of empowerment of the people. I'm sure that if the Communist Party is is continuing to turn a deaf ear to the people of Hong Kong and not responding to our call for real democracy and real choice, when the movement comes in its second wave, after consolidation, after further empowerment of the awakened people, I'm sure it will come back with bigger impetus and momentum. And as to how we should deal with all the scoldings, all the very hard-lined criticisms of Hong Kong people's more than reasonable demand for the Communist Party to, in a nutshell, honor the promises already enshrined in the Basic Law. I think we really have to count on young people like the two of you. All right? I think it is very important for young people whose future is most affected adversely by a continued incestuous relationship, as I just described, to really stand up and be counted. It is no good to simply think that this is a David and Goliath situation. How can David be any match for Goliath? History really consists of a lot of accidents and coincidences. If everything that has happened in history is by calculation, history would not have been what it is. So don't despair. Let us all do our utmost in our individual positions and try our best to uphold Hong Kong core values and Hong Kong way of doing things, and also try our best to protect and sustain our different institutions. Who knows when will that magic moment come? But the last thing I want to see is that when that moment, historic moment, defining moment comes, we are not prepared for the change, or worse still, all our core values and our institutions would have vanished by then. Then we would only have ourselves to blame. So let us not despair and continue with the good work that many of us have been doing.
I quite agree that when it is only this first way. But what about the political party? What is the role in future that you guys inside the Legislative Council can do? And it seems that last week, and when Gary Fan proposed this Hong Konger bill, and the Civic Party actually abstained from voting, then could you tell us why?
Well, if you read more carefully the voting results, you will know that we, of course, supported the, well, some may argue, even more radical version of the Honourable Gary Fan's motion in the form of the amendment by the Honourable Claudia Mo. So it is no question of the Civic Party not supporting a policy that we must have a policy that is consistent with sustaining a system of Hong Kong values. And in fact, I would argue that in the years ahead, it will be a subject that dominates the political scene in Hong Kong. It is not as if the pro-establishment legislators would put it, that whenever we start to discuss Hong Kong people, Hong Kong values, right, that must be equated with Hong Kong independence. Now that is rubbish.
Yes,
allow me. So I think it is important for us to start to deliberate very carefully on what Hong Kong people is, what makes up Hong Kong people. Right? We are made up by our unique set of values, our cultural behavior, our artistic behavior, the food that we eat,
Right.
the fact that we queue up. We have the practice of queuing up.
Yes.
All these. Now, I think it is important. And talking about political parties, the Civic Party recently had our general election. And there are 3 non-portfolio members on the 20-member executive committee. And Jacko Chan, who lived out in Harcourt Road for over 55 days, and he was also a man who was responsible for keeping discipline in Harcourt Road. He was returned with very high votes as one of the 3 non-portfolio members of the executive committee. So that is evidence that the Civic Party has come round to realizing it is important for any political party to answer to the call of the historic moment in Hong Kong. Besides that, what I just described as the need for us to formulate a Hong Kong people policy, we would also have to, in fact, learn from others who have been making use of the internet in a much more effective and efficient way than my party. So, and we also realize that it is important for us to be humble enough to admit that what we have used as means to fight for democracy in the past is already history. In the years ahead, I think we really have to give Hong Kong people some hope that the Civic Party could think of some new means of fighting for democracy. I have come across many young people who are our hopes for tomorrow. Now, of course, I would appeal to them that if the Civic Party could change for the better and we could answer the historic call. And if they think we are any good, they could join us and fight the cause as a civic party member. But if not, I am also prepared, and my party is also prepared to share our experience with these young people, because it is quite daunting for you to decide to run as a candidate in any election in Hong Kong. The moment that you look at the electoral rules and the electoral commission's different codes of practices and rules and conduct, it will actually deter you from running.
It's quite overwhelming.
Overwhelmed. You'll be overwhelmed. I'm quite sure. Even as a senior counsel, when I first set eye on those rules and ordinances, I was deterred. So we are quite prepared, as somebody who walked this path for 10 years now, to share the experience. So by all means, come to us if you want any help.
Yeah, I believe there's a brewing interest, especially online on the forums, where people are thinking about wanting to run. Just wanted to brush on this subject quickly. CY Leong keeps saying that the number one problem in Hong Kong is housing. We're going to build small flats. We're going to build cheap flats. We're going to build this. We're going to build that. But he never talks about the underlying cause of these property prices, which is the ultra low interest rate environment that we live in. That has fueled speculation to around the world. It's not just a Hong Kong problem. This is a worldwide problem. This is free money for banks and speculators right now, because it doesn't cost them anything to borrow, basically. And they're throwing it into real assets like property. Why doesn't he attack that? You know, he nobody either even brings it up to him, saying you're broaching the subject. Or is it because vested interests never want this party to stop?
You see, in this incestuous relationship that I just described, by which our chief executive comes to power, you would not expect him to bite the hands that feed him.
So we figured.
So that is why the students out there in Umbrella Square and participants in the Umbrella movement would want there to be a fundamental sea change in the way that the power system is organized in Hong Kong. That is why I have kept on telling people like Tung Chi Hua and Anthony Leong that it is no good for you to try to buy off or buy out these young people by offering them very materialistic benefits, because this does not help to address the root problem. And Hong Kong has no industry to speak of, you see. And CY Leung is now asking young people to leave if you cannot find good jobs in Hong Kong, right? You can leave for overseas or for the mainland.
But we don't want to leave our home. That's our answer to him.
Well, of course. And he wants to import talents.
Cheap talents.
Cheap talents. So, and other people like this Cao Bak from the FTU is saying that, we just abandon, we give up on these young people who have been prepared to use unlawful means to fight for a fairer electoral system. Now see, if you add all these together, a picture starts to emerge that maybe the Communist Party really wants to change the blood of Hong Kong.
Definitely.
All right?
Yeah.
So he would want to see people like us all go.
Yes.
And Hong Kong will be led by the Honorable Tree Gun, right? Together with CY Leung.
It's been quite entertaining to watch, by the way, we have to say.
Well, but this is not the Hong Kong we want.
Right.
Even in the wildest of our dreams. Why would we want to give up a place that we have loved for so many years, and we want our children and grandchildren to be able to make this place their home,
Absolutely.
to build their careers, to build their families. Right? So I think we have no choice but to stand up for what we believe, to stand up for the values of Hong Kong, and to sustain the institutions that have protected us for so many years.
And that is probably the most honorable thing anybody can do, is to stand up for their home. There's no reason to run. It's more, there's more courage in fighting than running. And we have to end it off there. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Leong. You can find more information at www.alanleong.com, and also you have your Facebook page. Just search Alan Leong. He'll definitely come up. And as a final segment of our show, we give out a Shame on You award for the week. But because it's the end of the year, we're going to give it for the whole year.
Yes.
And we decided on Li Fei of the MPCSC, the chairman of it, who handed down what we call the 9/11 moment of Hong Kong, where society fundamentally was changed at that moment.
Right.
After 17 years, well, we'll be 17 by 20. No, it is 17 years.
It's 17.
Yeah, it is 17 years.
Coming up to 18.
Coming up to 18, since the handover, it's been the most, incredible moment where everybody's heart dropped.
Yes.
That in our wildest dreams, we did not think that there would be such a harsh decision. But again, like I said, I think it's a breach of Annex 1 of the basic law. But, that's for legal scholars to go through. And
what's your opinion, or do you have anyone that you like to give this shame on your
for the
award
year?
to? For the year, for the whole year.
Well, the first name that came to mind must be 689.
Well, that's too easy. That's
Too
why we
easy
never
now.
choose
That's
them.
too easy, okay.
We never choose them.
So,
But anyways,
okay.
we're going to give out the Shame on You award. So you have just received the
Shame on you.
award. We based it off of him,
Okay.
this award.
Good. I like that.
Since he seems, Mr. Cheung seems to have very, very good sound bites in Legco, and we try to use them as much as we can. Again, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Pleasure.
And that's the end of the year. Everybody have a happy and healthy new year. Hopefully 2015 won't be as tumultuous as 2014, but we can only hope for the best. And, everybody be safe out there. Have fun. Be safe.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.